Hi, fifth grade. Today's question is, what is the message of your artwork? I'm not talking about what it actually says. I'm talking about what you want other people to learn and feel when they see it. We're going to be creating an aquatic seascape. The oceans are beautiful, but for some animals, unfortunately, humans have made it very hard for them to live. We're going to learn about some of the dangers to animals that humans have created, and then your artwork can be a commentary on what you would like the oceans to look like. Alrighty, fifth grade. Today I'm going to teach you some advanced watercolor techniques. Our next big project is going to be an aquatic scene. We're going to be learning a little bit more about the ocean and how you can convey messages in art and show what you care about. You should have picked up a paintbrush, paper towel, this random piece of thick paper, and then your sketchbook. I know that was a lot of things, but please make sure you have all 4 of them, and then give me a thumbs up. All right, in a moment, we're gonna use the sketchbook. I'm just gonna show you real quick what we're gonna do in here so you'll have an idea of kind of the why. So these are the painting techniques on page 25. You don't have to open this or anything right now. These are the ones you need to know before you go off to middle school art. Most of these you actually already know. Some of these I'm not gonna do just because we don't have time. I wanna show you some of my favorite techniques. These involve using a little bit of chemicals. We might be putting some salt on our watercolor just to see what will happen. We're gonna basically kind of combine science and art today. Maybe come up with a hypothesis before every different experiment we do. Think like a scientist today. So what I want you to do is just go ahead and push your sketchbook away for now. You're going to need your paintbrush, your paper towel, your little piece of paper. I put some paint on your table. It doesn't matter how ugly it is because we're just experimenting today. You're not making a beautiful picture. And then you're gonna be sharing some water with your neighbor. What I want you to do is I want you to find a crayon. It has to be a crayon. Yes, I know we don't like crayons in this class. I want you to find a crayon and then give me a thumbs up. All right, so on your paper, you're going to write your name, either on the front or the back. It really doesn't matter. You're going to actually put this in your sketchbook at the end. I'm gonna go ahead and write my name on it. Give me a thumbs up once you have yours. Okay, so we have 4 in all. I want you guys to label this because you might look at this during your painting project in case you want to remember how you did these techniques. Number 1 is going to be wax. W-A-X. You might want to write this small, but give me a thumbs up once you've written that in crayon. All right, number 2. We're going to be using some salt. So under number 2, put salt. Number 3, we're gonna do something called wet plus wet. It's where you have wet paper and then wet paint on top, right? And then the last one, number 4, and yes, I want you guys to write these down with me. We're gonna be using alcohol. This is isopropyl alcohol. We're gonna be doing some drops of it. So instead of writing the whole name of isopropyl, we're just gonna write drops because that's a little bit easier to remember, right? Give me a thumbs up once you have those. Okay, so now I want you to take the brightest crayon you can find. It can be a yellow, it can be a white, something, and draw hard and waxy. If it's white, you'll barely see it, but it will still work. Something really bright and light. And I want you to do a quick little drawing. I'm gonna do a happy face. But go ahead and just do a quick little drawing above wax and then give me a thumbs up. All right, we're gonna try this out together. And as always, you're going to dip into the water, let it drip, go into any color you want. I like doing a darker color, like purple. For some reason, that one didn't work. So I'm gonna go back in, I'm gonna clean my brush. I'm just gonna go into the straight up blue. You might have to let it dry for a little bit, but you can see that wax happy face poking through. It might work, it might not. You might have to let this dry overnight. But anyway, give it a thumbs up once you've given it a try. Okay, For the next one, you can use the same color or not. I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna do purple again this time. And all I want you to do is right above where it says salt, just put a lot of paint. A lot of watery paint. I'm gonna come by and I'm gonna put some salt on your table. Just take a little pinch, that's all you need, and sprinkle it over there. Do you see what's happening? The salt is absorbing some of that paint. We're gonna leave this on overnight because the next time you see it, you'll be able to brush away the salt. It's not like glue, it's not gonna stick. And there's gonna be little bubbles. So this is kind of your experiment. So like I said, get some paint down. I'm gonna come by, put some salt on your table. You can share with the people at your color table and just sprinkle some salt on it. And then see what happens. Interesting effect, right? Okay, for the next one, you're gonna need to clean your brush. So remember, you dip, let it drip, dry that paintbrush off, and then get some water. You're not gonna have any paint. All I want you to do is get your paper wet, where it says wet. So I'm adding water. I'm not soaking it, but I'm basically just painting with water, and I'm gonna let it sit and get the paper saturated. Give me a thumbs up once you have that done. Okay, now you're going to go into a color. I'm gonna do something new this time. I wanna do red. And so you're gonna really get your brush all wet in there. Okay, and then this is where you probably wanna get really close to it. I'm gonna try to keep it flat so you can see. But if you touch it, do you see the little explosions going on? And so this is really relaxing. You can do some really cool polka dot effects. Looks like fireworks sometimes to me. The more you press, the more paint rather. You could switch, try out the wet on wet technique. Okay, so now is the drops. This one's pretty cool, but I wanted to make sure that you're watching first. So you're gonna get this little bottle. This you need to be super careful with. Do not get it on your skin. Now, it's not gonna hurt you, but this is something that could really dry out your skin. So this is a dropper. You have to hold it with both hands, whoever's using it. You're going to turn the lid off, and then this will here, that's called a plunger, but not the plunger that you're thinking of. It's going to get the drops in this little glass vial, and then you're gonna put it on top of watercolor. Do not let this fall off your table. If you're gonna put it back down, make sure that the lid is on tight, and then make sure it is standing up straight like this. All right, I'll be passing that out in a moment, but let's try it out together. I'm gonna put some green down, because I haven't used that one. Doesn't matter which color on this one at all. And I'm gonna get a really big surface area. That way I can do at least one really good drop. My brush real quick. I'm gonna take my bottle, hold it, turn, plunger. All right, and then you just wanna do 1 or 2 drops. Did you see what happened there? It starts to separate. Some really cool effects. Let me do another one. You're really only gonna have room for like 1, 2, 3 little drops. You can go back over and just kind of see what happens. Think about bubbles in the ocean. Maybe this could be a great way to indicate those bubbles. The salt would also be great for that. Ooh, the salt is starting to do stuff. Awesome. Once you've done that, give me a thumbs up and I'll go over the next direction. Okay, so the next part you're gonna do totally on your own. You did the cool stuff. You need to let this dry for a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna put that to the side. You guys are gonna keep the water cup. I'm gonna come by and pick up the salt and the dropper. On page 25 is what you guys are gonna be working on today. This is your painting techniques. I'm gonna go over them really quickly because I know that you guys can read. You can figure it out on your own. All right, listen up, people. I'm gonna go over the basic techniques. You should already know how to do these, but just in case you weren't here for our last project. So this very first one is called fill in the shape. You just draw a shape, and guess what? You just fill it in with paint. I bet you didn't believe that was a technique that you need to know for 6th grade. Well, there you go. The next one is going to be called stippling. Do y'all remember that one? That's where you do little dots. That's literally all you do. Try out some dots. You can mix up the dots, make something out of the dots, but at least show me stippling with paint. The next one is dry brush. That's really confusing to people. You need to get your brush dry, but still with a little bit of paint on it. Do you see how it's kind of a little bit scratchy? That can be a great technique for doing like underwater grass or seaweed. So dry brush is also an example of a technique that you can try. The next one is called light streaking. Light streaking means that there's more water than there is paint. So I just fill up the pan with a little bit of water, kind of looks like a hot tub, and then I do some light streaks. I know that they're light because it's not dark, like that line I just did. Light lines. The next one, blurring, that's just another word for blending. You're gonna put 2 colors next to each other. So I decided to do orange and red because they're close to each other on my color wheel in the back of the room. You don't have to do just 2 colors. You can do 3 if you want to. Just don't forget to go back and blend, 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 get that seamless blend. This could be a great technique for sand as it's going off in the distance. Maybe it's changing colors. The next one, it says brushes. We don't have time to try out all the different brushes, so just give that one a big old X, and that's it. Time you have finished these painting techniques. Hopefully this is mostly dry. Mine's still a little bit wet, so I'm gonna give it just a little bit. You're gonna put this right here. No, I don't want you to glue it. I want you to actually tape it. On the middle table, take some tape, and I just tape it on both sides here. And then there you go. Now you have completed your painting technique course and we're ready for our next painting project. Let me tell you about where this goes. I don't want to mess up your amazing effects. So just place this on the drying rack like a tray. Normally I would do it with both hands, but I'm holding a phone. There we go. And then of course, just stack it up like so. Trays go on the counter. Water cups go in the sink. Paintbrush goes in the water cup. No, you don't have to clean it. Once you're all done, clean your hands, clean your table. Once your table looks beautiful like this, you can of course choose a new activity. We have everything open. Just make sure that you show me your journal before you put on the drying rack so I can make sure I can get you an extra activity. Have a good one.